Welcome to the virtual version of the ABCs of ECE. We are so excited to spend the next 45 minutes with you sharing key information about advocacy, behavior, and curriculum within the early childhood industry. New Horizon Academy is a Minnesota family-owned and operated company that has been serving young children for over 45 years. Our founder, Sue Dunkley, began her career as an elementary school teacher. Sue knew she needed to provide a nurturing place for children to go before they ventured out into the big world and entered school. And she knew it needed to be a place that would help them believe in themselves. That is why New Horizon was born. Our mission is to open new horizons of self-esteem and potential for the little people entrusted to our care, their families, and our employees by providing and continuously improving the best child development on the planet. This is something that we pride ourselves on each and every day. New Horizon has over 70 locations within the Twin Cities, as well as locations in Iowa, Idaho, and Colorado. We offer full and part-time positions, entry-level opportunities, substitute teacher opportunities, and it's not just classroom positions. We have an entire company to run, positions from IT to marketing, accounting, as well as curriculum-specific and behavior-focused careers. We offer tuition reimbursement and assistance with state scholarships and grants to assist with education. New Horizon also has an amazing career path program that employees can become part of when interested in advancing their career. We also have free continued education courses for employees. Now let's take a look at what each part of the ABCs mean. The A stands for advocacy. Advocacy is showing public support for a particular cause or policy. We advocate for early childhood education to be publicly funded and recognized for the importance of our work and to support a child's development. B stands for behavior. All behavior has meaning or reasoning behind it. As an early childhood educator, we need to look at these behaviors and discover the reasons behind them to support the child and their needs. C is for curriculum. We implement curriculum on a daily basis in all age groups to establish the lifelong love of learning for the students in our care. Throughout the session today, we will speak of not only New Horizon Academy, but of the early childhood education industry as a whole. We know that early childhood education is essential for young learners, and we are so excited to share some of that information with you today. Let's dive in. We are going to go over the A, or advocacy portion of the ABCs.
Hi everybody, my name is Jenny Haas and I am the Talent and Recruitment Supervisor with New Horizon Academy. What I do is I look for passionate people who are interested in starting a career in early childhood education. I started with New Horizon Academy 4 years ago. I started as a school-age teacher, moved my way up into center management, and now I'm part of our human resources team. I started going to school. When I graduated high school, I started college and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just like most high schoolers. I feel like they don't know what they want to do when they go to college. They don't know what to do or what they want to do in their future. So what I did is I decided to major in human resources because that's what my mom did. And on the side, I wanted a job where I didn't have to work nights, I didn't have to work weekends. I knew I really liked working with children, so I decided to work for an after-school program. I really loved doing that, and I didn't realize that I was gaining this passion for working with children. Soon after that, my niece was born. I decided I wanted to try working with infants so that I could be with her, and then she was a toddler, so I decided to be a toddler teacher. And then I graduated college and I pursued a job in my field where I got a job in downtown Minneapolis, and I was sitting behind a computer all day and I was so bored. I hated it. And I think what I did is I didn't realize I was building this passion for working with children. So I came to New Horizon Academy and I decided that I wanted to continue working with children and I wanted to build my career. I wanted to see what was on the administrative side of things. So I started, like I said, in a school-age classroom. I would help out with infants and toddlers and preschool when my school-agers were off at school. Then, like I said, when I got an assistant director position, I saw that management side of things. Which, by the way, is a lot harder than it looks. And then this job opened up in the Human Resources Department, and I thought to myself, how perfect would that be? I can put my degree to use and also build on this passion of working with children. So the first portion of our ABCs of ECE is advocacy. I didn't realize what a big advocate for early childhood I was until I heard Claire Sanford speak about early childhood. So you're going to hear from her in a little bit, but at first I want to tell you a little bit more about advocacy. Our goal with advocacy in early childhood is to give affordable childcare to all children, meaning we want early childhood to be publicly funded. Currently, childcare facilities are privately funded, meaning the parents that send their children to childcare are paying tuition for their child to attend. The problem with that is that many parents can't afford childcare, which is causing mothers or fathers or guardians to stay home instead of work, meaning they can't or they don't receive an income. Thankfully, there are scholarships and county assistance for low-income families, but there are still many families that do not qualify for those. So, how do we help these families? We go to the government and tell them why it's so important for early childhood to be publicly funded. After all, the government chooses where the money is going. And it's not just to help the parents and to help them receive an income, but also why it's so important for each individual child to have access to quality childcare. Thankfully, our government does understand that education is important, because they do fund education, but they only fund it K through 12. Public school is free to all families. And I think a lot of people don't understand the importance of early childhood. I think people think that children under the age of 5 don't need education. But the point we're trying to prove is that it's actually essential that they do have education. Take a look at these two brain scans. The one on the left is labeled as a healthy brain, and the one on the right is labeled as an abused brain. But when I think of an abused brain, I think of physically abused. That is not the case here. Think of it more as a neglected brain. The child on the left had their basic needs met, food, shelter, and clothing, but they were also held, and they were held when they were being fed, and they were sang to and read to and cuddled. And if they cried, they were given attention. They had frequent and positive interactions with adults. The child on the right was raised in an orphanage. In this orphanage, picture a room the size of one of your classrooms. There were about 50 babies in cribs and only 1 or 2 people to take care of them. This child on the right had their basic needs met, but that's it. That's all the caregivers were able to provide for them because there were so many other children to take care of. This child was raised in an environment where the only human interaction they were given was when it was their turn to be taken care of. Once they were fed and the diaper was changed, they were set back in their crib for several hours until it was their turn again. Why is this so important? Well, the problem is, at the time of these brain scans, these children were only 3 years old, and this is the damage that has already been caused to this child's brain development. If you look at the key at the lower right of this image, you can see that red means more activity. Red is good. The child on the left has much more activity and brain development at the top, which is the front of the brain. The front of the brain is where our problem-solving skills are built, our social and emotional skills, our ability to have patience, our ability to have empathy, our ability to not only form relationships, but keep those relationships strong. Everything that we know about living harmoniously with other human beings is highly developed before the age of 5. You'll notice the child on the right was not able to build those skills. As I said before, you can notice the damage that has been caused at the front of the brain. Since this child is only 3, if they were to come to us at 3 years old with this damage already being done, we could try to make it less bad by giving this child as much love and attention as we could, but it cannot be fixed. It can't erase the damage that has been done. This is why early childhood is so important. We want all children to have the access to develop their brain at an early stage so they can grow into adults and live with patience, empathy, understanding for other human beings. You may notice that the brain on the right actually did develop and has more red in one area, at the bottom of the brain. The bottom of the brain, or the base of the brain, is where your survival instincts are, basically your animal instincts. This is the part of the brain that tells you you're hungry, it keeps your heart beating, it tells you to breathe. This is where your adrenaline or your fight or flight instincts are. The brain on the left has that too, because as human beings, we all have that. But this child was actually overdeveloping in that area. Think back to this child's life at that time. They didn't receive care until it was their turn to be fed. They didn't receive the extra love and attention that the child on the left had. This child learned, just stay alive. What does that mean for this child's future? Since this child is more likely to act on their animal instincts, they're much more likely to be aggressive and have little empathy or patience. What we want these politicians to know is that these children are not going to be children forever. They are going to grow up. They're going to be functioning members of our society. our neighbors, our coworkers, our spouses, members of our community. If these two children were in our community, one of them is more likely to have patience and empathy, get a job and provide for themselves, treat people with kindness and respect, and one of these children is more likely to be aggressive, have road rage, cause crime. Now think of it on a much larger scale with thousands, even millions of children. What would we want their brains to look like? How would we want them to be a part of our society? This is why we think early childhood should be funded by our government. As I said before, our government does understand that education is important, but they only fund education starting at kindergarten or 5 years old. This is why early childhood is so important. We literally build the brains of these children so they can be positive members of the world in their future.
Hello, my name is Claire Sanford, and I am the Director of Government and Community Relations here at New Horizon Academy. And I want to tell you a little bit about what I do and why I do it and how I got to this point. So basically, my job is being a full-time advocate for early childhood education, childcare, young children and families. And what I love about my job is that I feel like I get to help affect change at an even greater level than with the children and families we serve right here in our company, because the policies I advocate for and the changes that I advocate for affect children all over Minnesota, all over the nation, far beyond those that we directly serve. So it's really nice to feel like you can be doing something positive not only for the children who attend New Horizon Academy or Kinderberry Hill, but really for the greater good as well. And advocacy, I want to explain a little bit, and then I'll kind of tell you how I got here. Advocacy is basically just influencing decisions and outcomes. And it comes from the word, if you think about it, lawyers are often called advocates, and actually the word in French for lawyer is advocate, because their job is to convince others to act in ways that benefit their clients. And when I am advocating and trying to influence decisions and outcomes, I consider my clients really young children and families and the professionals who serve them, like teachers in early childhood education, home visitors, other people who are professionals who work with very young children and their families. So that's really who I'm working for in the end. Obviously, I work for a company, and I also advocate for New Horizon Academy and Kinderberry Hill and things that affect how we run our business and how we're able to serve children and families, but it's all in the service of doing what's best and right for children and families, not just what's good for the company necessarily. There are a lot of different types of advocacy. I actually am a registered lobbyist, which is slightly different from advocating. It's a legal technicality, but I am a registered lobbyist. And I remember when I started this job, I didn't even know that I was going to become a registered lobbyist. And when I found that out, I felt really awful. And I thought, oh my gosh, lobbyist has always been this term that seems kind of evil. You hear about big oil or big tobacco or big pharma or big anything. And that just seems like, big businesses out for themselves and not out to actually help people. And a colleague of mine who worked for another organization that supports children and families, she said, well, yeah, there's big oil and big tobacco and big everything else, but I like to think of us as big kid. And that really spoke to me. And I thought, okay, I can get behind that. If businesses and all these other sectors have people working with government officials to try and do what they think is right, why shouldn't young children and families have people who are working on their behalf to try and bring their interests and their voices to the table too? So that, in a nutshell, is what I do. I try to represent the voices of children and families and the professionals who serve them with elected officials who have the power to fund those things and also make decisions that affect how we do our work. So I want to show you this one slide. It looks really boring. I know, it's a bar graph. And I didn't make it because I'm not even tech savvy enough to make a bar graph like this. So I took it from elsewhere, but you can see I've noted the source. That's, 101. Whenever you take research or anything that anyone else has done, you note the source so that people can go find it if they want to, and you give credit to the people who created it. So this is, like I said, kind of a boring looking bar graph of the costs and benefits of something called the Perry Preschool Study. The Perry Preschool Study is one of the famous studies in early childhood education in our country, and one of the ones that really grabbed my attention when I started reading the direct research from it when I was in grad school. This is a study that happened in a town called Ypsilanti, Michigan, and it started in the 1960s. And it was basically, there was a group of, all the children in the study were from low-income families, very low-income families. And they put a group of children into this study that got the intervention of very high-quality early childhood education. And this was also coupled with home visits that teachers would make to their homes and, other things, making sure the family had enough food and access to medical care. So it was mostly early childhood education, but they also made sure that families' other needs were met as well, which is incredibly important. And then they compared this group of kids who got this really high-quality early childhood education when they were 3 and 4 years old to a group of kids in the same neighborhood with the same type of family life and circumstances who did not get this high-quality early childhood education. And they've been following these kids for over 60 years. These kids are senior citizens now, but they study them every 10 years and compare the kids who got this high-quality early childhood education to the kids who didn't. And the results of this study are so striking and have been replicated in lots of other studies in our country. They're so striking that we're actually not allowed to do studies quite like this anymore because it's considered unfair to have a research group of children who don't get this intervention when now we know how important quality early childhood education is. So if you look at this Perry Preschool bar graph, going down the left-hand side, it starts with program cost at the top, and you'll see the red line goes to the left. And when it's going to the left on this graph from that first line, that means this is what you actually had to spend to make this early childhood education happen. And you can see it's almost $25,000, and that's per child. And that's not cheap, certainly. And again, this was in the 1960s, so it's a lot more expensive now. So there is a cost to the public. And you'll see at the bottom of the bar graph, there are 2 colors on it. The red box says for public, so things in red denote benefits that we all share as citizens in our community. And then the green box says for participant. So things in green are benefits that actually went to the participant, to the individual child who was a part of this study and got the high quality early childhood education. So back up to the top to program cost. We, society, taxpayers, the government, had to pay about $25,000 a kid to do this high-quality early education at the outset. That's not cheap, like I said. But you'll notice all the benefits we get on the other side of that line, all the red and green graphs that go far out to the right side, those are our return on investment. That's what we get back for the money we put in. Think of a savings account or people who are in the stock market. You put $1 in your savings account and it earns interest. And one of the reasons you use a savings account is to earn a little extra money, is to get a return on your money. So maybe if I put $100 in, a year from now, I might have $105 depending on the interest rate. So the Perry Preschool Study found that for every $1 that society invested in early childhood education, society got back $16 for every $1 it invested in young children. That is way more than the stock market. That is way more than any savings account you're ever going to have. That's an insanely high rate of return. So yes, society has to spend some money. Society spends money on lots of stuff that doesn't get this big of a return on investment. So I argue we should be spending a lot more on early childhood in order to save money in other places. And that's what this bar graph shows. If you go down under program cost, it says K-12 education. So that's your basic school system, public school system. You can see the public saves some money, looks like about halfway to 25, let's say $12,000. The society is going to save about $12,000 a child just in the K-12 school system, because kids who got that early childhood intervention end up needing far less special education. They end up repeating grades less, so the school system actually has to spend less money educating them than it does if a child hasn't gotten that early childhood education and that quality brain development. If you go down under K-12 education, it says higher participants' earnings. This, you'll see most of it is green. That means we're talking about the actual kids who get high quality early childhood education. You'll see that line goes way far across, and that is showing you how much more those children earn in their jobs over the course of their lives than children similar to them who did not get quality early childhood education. Because of the brain development, because of the readiness for school, I said the study has followed these kids over 60 years now. They're adults, they're senior citizens. They are able to look at the types of jobs they've had over their lives and what they have earned, and they far out-earn children who didn't get that early childhood intervention. If you go to the next line, the justice system and crime victims, this is representing the money society saves because children who get quality early childhood education are far less likely to end up in the criminal justice system. They're far less likely to commit crimes. They're far less likely to be incarcerated, sent to jail. Society spends a huge amount of money on arresting people in our country, and on crime, and on housing people in jails after they are arrested. And it's really striking to see that with high quality early childhood education, we can erase a lot of that. We can prevent a lot of that later crime and its poor effects on society. And it's for that reason that early childhood education actually has a tremendous amount of support from groups like police chiefs across America. And the military is actually a huge proponent of early childhood education as well, because they know they get better soldiers and better workers. The military is a huge employer as well, if they had high quality early childhood education. And all of us benefit not only from the taxpayer money that we're all saving by spending less on the criminal justice system, but we as crime victims, you see that bar for crime victims is the biggest of all. We are fewer victims of crime when children get early childhood education that's quality. We have fewer people get mugged on the street, fewer cars get broken into, fewer assaults are committed. Shoplifting goes down. Pretty much every crime you can think of goes down because children who got that early childhood education have a more stable rest of their lives. And this isn't to say they're all Einsteins. Early childhood education isn't about creating geniuses. It's about creating capable citizens of our country who, stay in school longer. Kids who get early childhood education graduate from high school at much higher rates. They go to college at higher rates. Their children do better in school. Their children do better with home ownership and jobs and things like that throughout their whole lives. So the benefits don't just go to the child who got the early childhood education. They actually continue on to that child's children. So these benefits go over decades. And if we really want to create systemic change with poverty, with crime, with healthcare, children with early childhood education have much better health outcomes over the rest of their lives. It's just striking. So that's a very long way of explaining why this is just one way of looking at the money society can save when we get early childhood education right, particularly for low-income children and children who don't have as many resources as other families. I like to say you don't even have to like kids. You can hate kids and still be a huge fan of early childhood education because of all the benefits it brings to all of us throughout society.
We are going to go over the B, or behavior, portion of the ABCs.
Hi guys, my name is Kat Butler. I am the HR Manager of Recruitment and Employee Relations. A little bit about me and my history with New Horizon. I have been with the company since 2009. Started as a preschool teacher, worked within our schools for about 5 years, and then came into the HR department. I currently work with our recruiters to bring on talented and dedicated teachers, as well as work with employees on different employee relation issues. During my time with you today, we are going to talk about behavior. Behavior is something that we see and deal with children of all ages, especially within early childhood. And if you are someone who has babysat or have younger siblings or younger family members, I'm sure that you've seen a variety of behaviors that children can have throughout the day or even throughout a few hours. At New Horizon, we are lucky enough to have a position called an early childhood behavior specialist. So this position is one where our behavior specialists help and support the classrooms and different behaviors that they may be seeing. We have 2 behavior specialists, Kate Wessinger and Amanda Mason. Their role within our company is to help support our teachers as they work with different behaviors within their classroom. They will go out, observe, work with the children, work with the teachers, and work with the parents to ensure that the learning environment that we provide at New Horizon Academy is what's best for the child, and that we are able to help support any behaviors that the children may have. Let's talk about what causes behavior. Behavior is what you see. It's the top of the iceberg or the leaves of the plant. But the reasoning for the behavior is what you don't see. It's what is below the surface. Behaviors will vary. Some children may be really closed off and quiet. They may shut down. Some will show unwanted or quote-unquote naughty behavior. Others may just be really emotional that day. Each child will react differently and show different behaviors for different reasons that are under the surface. Reasons for the behavior are going to vary. Some may be from neglect, hunger, or uncertainty. Maybe the child is moving and their environment is different. Maybe somebody close to them has passed away and they're not quite sure how to deal with that yet. Maybe they're hungry. Their last meal could have been within our care the day before. Without taking the time to look into the underlying reasons for a behavior, we will not fully understand why that behavior is taking place. It is our jobs as early childhood educators to take the time to dig deeper into what we see and find the reasoning why. Once we're able to discover the underlying reasons, that is when we are able to truly support the child to first understand why they're feeling a certain way and why they may be acting a certain way, but also help them get through it. Whether it's giving them a little bit more one-on-one attention, whether it's offering the family resources and support that they may need, or if it's adjusting our classroom environment to ensure that they feel safe and supported as they work through a change in their life.
Hi, my name is Bev Bauman, Vice President of Education and Staff Development. Today I'm going to talk to you about conscious discipline. New Horizon Academy has taken a close look at the everyday happenings in the early childhood classroom and how we can make it successful for everyone involved. I wish I could tell you that you never deal with difficult situations when working with children, but we know that is not accurate. Anytime you gather children together, you will have some type of conflict, but we want to teach you how to manage it the best you can. After many hours of research, we have determined that conscious discipline is a good fit for classroom management while learning how to best serve the teachers and children in our care. Conscious discipline is a comprehensive classroom management program and a social-emotional curriculum. Conscious discipline goes hand in hand with our early literacy curriculum, SEEDS. It is based on current brain research, child development information, and developmentally appropriate practices. Conscious discipline has been specifically designed to make changes in the lives of adults first. Conscious discipline empowers adults to have self-control in the classroom while being proactive instead of reactive when conflicts arise. Here are a few examples of how conscious discipline is used in the classrooms. I choose self-control. This gives you a few options to choose from when helping a child to self-regulate himself. The first step in any discipline encounter is to take a deep, calming breath. 3 deep breaths shut off the fight or flight response in your body. The 4 active calming techniques used in conscious discipline are STAR, balloon, pretzel, and drain. Teach these techniques to children and put the images around the classroom as a reminder to breathe when the going gets tough. How do you feel chart? You must be able to name it in order to tame it. Help children identify the emotion they are feeling with this handy chart. I love you rituals are playful means to promote optimal brain development, increase attention span, reduce hyperactivity, build self-esteem, and facilitate language development. There are many rituals available so you can determine which would work best with each child. Greetings. Greeting a child is also a vital way of connecting to the children. Even though parents are not able to enter the classroom, use the greetings to greet the children as he or she enters the classroom. It is important that each child receives the message, "Hello, I am glad you are here today, and I will keep you safe." Note that many ways you can greet a child: high five, fist bump, handshake, and the most special one, a smile. School family is also an important part of conscious discipline. Creating the school family will help you systematically create the positive school climate that is integral in eliminating bullying, decrease behavioral issues, while integrating social-emotional well-being into the existing curriculum. Be creative. Come up with your own school family song to make everyone feel like they are part of something bigger. To learn more, here is a link to free resources.
We are going to go over the C, or curriculum portion of the ABCs. Hi, my name is Leslie Seffaga, and I'm the Administrative Assistant with the Human Resources Department at New Horizon Academy. Let's move into more about all that our teachers do with curriculum. At New Horizon Academy, we implement curriculum for all ages, infant through school age. We create and implement curriculum that is age-appropriate and fun for the children. Our classrooms are set up with learning zones where the students are supplied with a variety of materials. For example, in the Let's Pretend area, students are provided materials for them to explore their imaginations and bring topics or themes to life. Throughout this portion, we are going to take an active dive into the curriculum planning process from start to finish. First thing to do is choose a theme or a topic that you're going to cover for the month. Choosing a topic which is something that can be extended over a month is best. It also allows children to explore different aspects of a topic. It also allows us as educators to run with their questions or curiosity. Let's explore more into the theme of digging in the dirt. Now, first we brainstorm. When planning a month-long theme, we need to think of a variety of activities and projects for the month. These ideas will range throughout all learning areas and include a wide variety of materials and information. At New Horizon Academy, we support our teachers within the curriculum process with center and district curriculum coordinators. These members of management assist in the planning and creating of engaging, age-appropriate curriculum. We also support our teachers by providing all materials needed. None of our teachers need to spend their own money on materials for their classroom. We purchase all materials for them. When looking at different learning areas, we will think of some different ideas. What could we do for large motor? We could grow like a flower and have the children move their body from a seed to a beautiful flower while talking about the growing process. We could discuss how do bugs move, and we can move around the room or a playground as bugs do. For sensory, we could put dirt in small flower pots and add fake flowers, or we could touch and feel real worms in the dirt. How about art? We could paint with mud. We could not only use paintbrushes, but we could use trucks, flower petals, or anything associated with this theme. We could also do a craft project and make a flower. You'll see more of this idea soon. How about language surrounding this theme? We could name and label the parts of a flower, or we could add theme words to a word wall. Pretend play. How fun would it be to create a flower or construction zone for the kids to explore with their imagination? And finally, discovery. We could create a scavenger hunt to do as a classroom, or for the students to do at home. We could grab some dirt, a magnifying glass, and some tweezers and explore what's in the dirt. We could work with our teachers on implementing curriculum. As we work with our teachers on implementing curriculum, we ask them to teach each one of these components within a week. Let's complete the project and see how many of these areas we can cover. We're going to do a typical type of activity that you would see in a preschool classroom. This is an activity that would be developmentally appropriate for a class of 4-year-olds. For this craft, we will be using blue, brown, and green paper, scissors, a glue stick, cupcake liner, sunflower seeds, and a marker. Now let's look back at our component list. Throughout this project, we've covered many of these. Let's explore what we covered in just this short virtual project. And as a teacher, you are able to extend this project to cover even more as needed. Students have a wide variety of abilities and experiences which make it important to be able to adjust or adapt the lesson or activity for children of different ability levels. Let's discuss product versus process art. Product is wanting to see something specific from the student, showing them what you want, giving detailed and specific instructions, making sure that they place items in the correct spot so that all projects come out looking the same. They are a similar product. This type of art is good for projects where you want the end result to look composed and neat, like a Mother's Day sign. Process art is wanting the students to experience the process in creating. This requires the teacher to use open-ended encouragement, allowing the students to come up with solutions to questions on their own. Teachers encourage students to be creative in their art to create something that is all their own. Thank you for spending some time with us today. New Horizon Academy is always looking for passionate and dedicated individuals to join our mission in providing the best childcare on the planet. If you are 16 years of age or older and excited about working with the littlest learners, please reach out to us. We can talk more in detail about locations and positions that may work best for you. Please visit www.newhorizonacademy.net/careers or call us at 763-557-1111 to learn more. If you have any questions about New Horizon Academy, a career in early childhood education, or anything else about today's presentation, please reach out at any time. Thank you again.